Now my girl did that shit talking to some motherfucker, and she's in his face like, let me tell you something. I walked away. She goes, whoa. She runs up to me, right? And goes, why would you do that? Well, why would you run? You know, he could have, he could have what? They could have what?
Back in the station, your boy B Neil, aka Emerald Thoughts. We got another great video to react to. We got some Patrice O'Neal breaking down women being over masculine, and also women not respecting the gun line of men, basically. Not respecting men's boundaries, how typical other men would respect other men's boundaries just on them being a man alone. But let's get into it, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all up on the intro.
Guys restrain. This is the thing that pisses me off about ladies right now. I'm driving up the street, you know, in my giant truck, and you know, some lady, some Puerto Rican girl cuts me off and gives me that man look of, what you gonna do, that protective, and the only thing that protects her is my restraint. That's why you exist, is that I don't take my truck and do a police cutoff,
get out of the
punch
car,
through your window like the Terminator, and drag you around the street and say to myself, here's my thing, I have to argue with myself, am I gonna go to jail for throwing this woman through a window, or am I gonna just do nothing like I'm gonna do?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
And she knows that, and she knows and she knows the odds are in her favor that you ain't getting out of that car.
And she can't say, sir, thank you, I didn't cut you off, it wasn't personal. I just did what I was going to do to anybody.
Right. And
I understand you're 6'4", 300 pounds, and I'm just a little Puerto Rican girl, and you could kill me.
Yeah, man. A lot of people never been punched in the mouth before, man. So they do things that they don't understand the consequences to. I hear it all the time. A motherfucker be like, suck my dick. Or you bitch ass nigga. Like, they say this shit online. But my God, if we was in person, bro, you would be berated with all of the hands and feet and kicks, my boy, even knees. Telling a man knows to tell another grown man to suck his dick is instantly fighting like a hard scrap. It ain't gonna be no 1, 2, 3, 4. We just dancing around like, nah, we about to scrap. And I think that's women's problem. A lot of women don't move gracefully. A lot of women never been punched in the mouth. So they can act like Karen. They can get out of line in public because they know it's likely for a man not to do that. I think women actually rely on men to be more graceful in certain situations, because if it was to leave it up to how she was acting, and if the man was able to reflect her energy and how he would appropriately react to her, the energy she's bringing, a lot of times they would want to fight. If a man didn't have to think about social barriers, moral barriers, personal barriers, or not even barriers, things that we consider that keeps us human. If a man could ignore that, like he ignores it with another man, because it's not right to fight other men. It's not right to hurt another person, like over ideas and shit like that. Like, let's be real, it's never really that serious. But at the end of the day, if a man keeps disrespecting me, I'm not gonna be so graceful to him. And I think women have gotten a little too comfortable because they're in a comfortable world. They got cops, they got men, they got these sympathizers and all these different things that's going to protect them. And you'll get a woman that points the middle finger to you in the car, or honks the horn super aggressively in the car, or may say something rude to you in public because she's been able to do that to her parents. Same for men that act like bitches and shit like that and can think they can say any type of thing, and then once you hit them in their mouth, oh my God, what happened? Calling the cops. Like, I'll get into it later. But yeah, these people talk to their parents like that, their grandparents like that, their teachers like that, their summer school instructors like that, their brothers and sisters like that, their eventually their girlfriends and their wives like that, then eventually their children's like that, then their co-workers, and if hopefully they don't ever get employed to be a boss or a manager over people, then those people. So their whole life they've been crossing and not respecting other people's boundaries. Right? No one checked them, no one whooped them, not even their parents put hands on them. Spare the rod and spoil the child, some shit like that, right? No different than women. No different than humans. If humans have no physical consequence, their behaviors would be crazy. Crazy. I'm sorry. That just something you have to shape. We shape humans up through whoopings. And also through, logical thoughts and lessons and things like that. But I think when you get these children that's products have never been whooped, never been checked, never been corrected, it gets to a point where they don't know how to respect people. They don't know when danger's in the front because they never had to experience consequences, really. They got through life the whole time. They don't know that they're going through a red flag that's going to actually cause them probably possible harm right now. So...
And I appreciate
that's I think a lot of women's problem. And then I would say even if women have respected or learn consequences and things like that, they're taught that those consequences don't exist with men. So even if you understand, I better not talk to another woman like that. I better not talk to my mom like that. I better not talk to my boss like that. They still may talk to their children like that, and they still may talk to their husband like that, because especially with their children, they're told that, whatever the parents say go, and that's been passed down to them already for a fact. And then when you come to the man and woman dynamic, a woman is told that she should be pedestalized, that she's a princess, and she should always get her way. So that naturally leads to a woman being disrespectful to a man, boundaries, because even a man having boundaries to a princess type of woman is disrespectful. Because to a woman, there is a woman that's a princess mind or a diva has no boundaries. And that's inherently already disrespectful to the man. But in her eyes, it's disrespectful to her because how dare you put up boundaries on a world that's supposed to be built and created for me. So that's where you get these dangers of women that don't respect men, because she's taught that she's a princess and people to go to war for her, essentially, right? So that leads to a lot of crass behavior and where they don't respect gun lines. And I'm telling you,
actual madness.
I'll keep it going. Let's go. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long.
Instead of giving you the entitled face.
Let's go to Massachusetts. Chris, what's up?
I'm just kind of sick and tired of hearing Patrice use the entitlement excuse every time he talks about women.
Yeah. See, this is an empathizer, sympathizer. You're the reason why life is fucked up for men right now, goofball motherfucker. You gotta learn. When I say entitlement,
sympathizer is such a great word.
It's a thing that makes you think that there's a magical force around you that can protect you from different situations, that makes you behave irrational. Guys don't do that. Like, you would never, like, okay, right now you're talking to me over the phone, but if you was sitting next to me on the train or something like that, and you was with your wife would say something before you did. You know why? Because she has this protective thing.
And she would say something more aggressively. Like, you as a man, we're going to speak respectfully as long as possible. Because we know at any given any given moment, it can turn left. A woman don't think about, oh, can this turn left? She thinks she's protected and she's going to speak her mind because that's what's right. And she only cares about that.
You wouldn't talk because we're both men, and it's possible somebody could get choked. And I'm not saying you could choke me, I'm just whatever. We can fuck each other up. That's why we don't come out of our mouth to each other. Now, the superior physical person in this situation, which is the man, why don't we come out of our mouth to each other? Why don't we curse each other? Why don't I look at you and go, what the fuck? Yo, dude, why don't you shut the fuck up? You know why? Because we are in charge of physicality. Women aren't. They go, why don't you? I'm going to beat the horn because he's not going fast enough in my fucking...
Women approach to being like, not physical, the physicality determinators is waterboarding you with a bunch of noise, just constant noise. That's how women interrogate or terrorize you. And the fact that they know that it could be ongoing and prevalent and you really can't do anything about it is a problem. The only thing you really could do about it is physical, whether it's have sex with her to get her to shut the fuck up, or to, I like to say, just be roughhouse with your girl, like have fun with her, like play around and shit like that, just to get some of that energy out. Because a lot of times women be bored and they just have this energy about them that's just kind of like stale. So it's like, what you trying to box or something? So I have like a pillow fight or something with my girl like that. Or if she say something smart, I hit her with a pillow, which is it's fun and light, but she know like, all right, motherfucker, like shut the fuck up. You talking too much. Like I'm more straightforward with my girl now than I ever have been, as far as like when you're getting on my nerves saying stuff and shit like that, because they don't know when to stop, because like I said, they have that princess mentality that whatever they say go, they can say snarky shit. And as a man, you supposed to take it, because if you can't take it, that means you're soft. So either you're taking it and she's disrespecting you, or you're not taking it and you're a bitch ass soft dude, because why can't you take it? So you don't win either way. So that's why a lot of dudes just get frustrated and bothered, because it's like a lot of dudes don't have that pimp in them, or that like that finesse in them to be able to do, like I say, the pillow fight thing, or a version of that in his own way, or even to know that your girl is hinting that she just want to have sex. Like a lot of dudes may not be that hip yet. It took me a little minute to see that. I'm not gonna act like I always knew it, but yeah, a lot of dudes don't have that in them. And then even then, a lot of dudes be like, shit, I have that in me, but do I want to keep playing a game with this woman for the rest of my life like that? Like, I'd rather just be in peace and then just hit you up when I can. And that's another problem that comes out about that. But like I said, it's hard to deal with women and that waterboarding of like just constantly nagging. That's the word for it. They nag you to death to get their way, and they don't see it as anything wrong because they're taught that they're supposed to get their way. So yeah, it's so tough. They naturally are taught how they're naturally trained and are programmed. It's hard for them to even be wives and productive with men because of the state of existence that they told is okay to be in.
World, this is what I mean by entitlement, dude. It's frustrating. You gotta understand, you haven't raised as many women as I have.
That's the truth. That's the truth, bro. I've raised not a lot of women, but I've had a lot of women best friends, so I've seen and heard a lot of stories and gave a lot of guidance to women on that aspect. I've worked with a lot of women, they constantly asking for guidance. I'm constantly getting looks into their life. And then just in general, people constantly ask me for guidance and stuff like that. So I've raised people, I've helped guide people as well as me needing guidance and things like that. But a lot of people would take what he said about raising bitches and be out the loop. But this is a part of like I said, with Manosphere, Red Pill have some of these pimp natures and things that you can pull from. A lot of people be like, just the fact that it's even like a pimpish idea is bothersome, because it's like, oh, no power, nothing good could come out of that, which is blasphemy. Because I mean, there's something good in everything, because it wouldn't exist, because that's what polarity is. Can't exist without polarity. It has to have some good, have to have some bad, and some neutral. That's just how life goes. So if you can pull the good and the neutral, you may can learn some things from the pimp game, and that's one of the things that he refers to. Let me go back a little bit. That he refers to that correlates with pimp game.
You gotta understand, you haven't raised as many women as I have.
Raising women, yeah. So with the raising women, bro, like, what you mean raising women? You ain't my daddy or shit like that. But what also, when you standing in your frame as a man, what is your job for a woman? Provide and guide and protect, right? That would be considered raising a woman. Now, do you have to do it like she's your fucking child? No, not by any means. That if you're getting women that still need that type of guidance, she needs a dad, not a husband and a father. I mean, a guide. She needs 8 hours, 5 days a week of studying like a fucking child. A woman or a wife that you need to guide, she may just need some after school classes. You know what I mean? Like, she may need 2 hours a day, maybe even 3-4 hours a week at most. She might not even have to go to class every day. So that's the difference between a wife and raising a woman, or helping or continue to raise a woman, and raising a child that's, I mean, basically a woman with a child like mine, which you have so many of those. So
you're not a father.
A lot of niggas ain't got that game.
Daddy Patrice.
Yeah, you're not a good daddy. I'm trying to tell you, man. You gotta get that off your.
And women see that as attractive, because he's gonna ignore all that bullshit that they are and they say they are, that hoopla, and he's gonna actually cater to what they like. Like I said, they have this idea of what they are, but he's gonna cater to what they actually are. And women love that shit. Women love that shit. Knowing their subtleties, knowing their, because women don't like to be upfront. So when you know women, you know how women move, you know women language, or you know women moods, you understand their feelings. Oh my gosh, she's gonna be so turned on by you. Like, you know when she's upset without her having to say it, you know her, because you know her nature. You read her, and once you read her, you can understand that you probably can take a baseline idea of what you learned from her and put that with other women. And yeah, man, that goes a long way, but a lot of dudes ain't that smart.
Huh? With nobody there to stop me from punching her in her fucking mouth, except for social contract. The fact is that she believes that socially I can't knock her in her fucking mouth. But if I had a screw loose, I could turn around and ring this bitch. Now, my girl did that shit talking to some motherfucker, and she's in his face like, let me tell you something. I walked away. She goes, whoa. She runs up to me, right? And goes, why would you do that? Well, why would you run? You know, he could have, he could have what? They could have what?
Why do it? Why do it? Why do it?
Now she has an option. That dude could have punched you in your fucking face. And you couldn't do shit about it except for look at me. So you're going to have to learn respect. It trickles down from me. You have to have anger.
See what? See, she's gaslighting, right?
And let me tell you something. That little trick you're doing now, Paris,
gaslighting.
She goes,
that's
what?
level 2.
What? Oh my God, I'm so angry.
Over that disregarding. God, calm down, Mr. Angry. He's so angry.
Or anytime you're out, if your chick starts shit with someone, and you're looking like, oh boy,
you know whose fault that is?
You gotta step in.
You know whose fault that is?
Who?
Yours.
Why?
You gotta learn how to raise your girl.
See, right now, this is an example of Patrice O'Neal raising some men, teaching some men some game. It's your fault as a man. He was like, really? Why?
Girlfriend's better.
You're just gonna let your chick get maybe slapped?
No.
Or something?
My girl closes her fucking mouth because every time I see somebody behave in a certain way, like point at a girl, I go, sweetie,
I do that
this
too.
is what the fuck
I do that all the time. Whether it's a woman or a man, I'm like, I'll point out that behavior and talk about why it's not a good behavior to be. And I think if you had children or something like that, if you see a certain thing happening in society, it's a good time to stop and whether it's in the car or in the moment and be like, you seen what happened there? This is what happened. This is what could have been done better. This is why that shouldn't happen. This is why that is not deemed classy or stuff like that. And it's better to teach them how to do things like that and learn from other people's experiences versus like they get caught up in the moment and then you really not there to get the whole story and all these other different things. It's just better teaching lessons for people overall in general, especially kids.
I'm talking about if I step back, this particular man that you think you're entitled to talk to in a certain way will punch you through a fucking wall. You can't beat him up.
Yeah.
So if you can't beat him up, shut your mouth. Shut up. Don't ever come out of pocket with some fucking guy.
And all I could figure is, if she lunges at my girl, I'm going to have to get in between. Because now that's my job. And if I even look.
And like he said, what he said, out of pocket. Bro, you're never supposed to be out of pocket. In general, as a man, as a woman, a child is going to do that because it's a child. They still learning the pocket. Bro, as a man, you step out of pocket, you're paying some fines, you're going to jail, you're getting your ass whooped, and you might get killed, you might get robbed, you might catch an STD. You're reaping negative benefits. When a woman got a line, similar things. May take a little bit longer for her to stay out of pocket before that happens. But in general, you're going to still see bad results in life. You won't have a husband. Your kids won't really like you. Your parents won't have a real relationship besides out-of-pocket arguments. You won't really have a social life because people don't want to be around you because you're always out of pocket. So women will reap the consequences of it a little bit differently, but you still have it. But my problem with it is like people don't understand how dangerous, like spiritually, for you to be outside of your square, outside of your aura, outside of your security, like your pocket is your security, your home. To be outside of that means you're no longer protected. You're no longer moving. Like you're starting to stray into unknown and dangerous territories more likely than not when we talk about this idea of being out of pocket. Now, when we talk about being daring, being fearless, being courageous to take a leap to build for yourself, or go to this job interview that you thought you might not have gotten, or talk to this woman that you feel like you might have been out of your league. That's okay to be out of your pocket. Those are like breaking your comfort zone type thing. Like there are certain zones that you can break, but it's still a realistic way to go about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, being out of pocket, bro. Like there's like for women, they don't understand. There's a mayday sign going off in the environment. Mayday, mayday, mayday. The birds can see it. Real niggas can see it. Everybody like, oh, this bitch about to get her ass or oh shit, a fight might jump off. Like real niggas see this shit coming from a mile away. For me, mayday, mayday, mayday. Like when I start getting out of pocket, I'm like, all right, nigga, you might get punched, or nigga, put your guard up. Like when my mayday sign come up and I'm like in this argument, I'm like, all right. Nigga, or I keep my distance. I keep a space. Like I don't get up all in this person's face to where they can grab me and shit like that. I keep my distance. The more tense the conversation, the more louder that mayday, I keep my distance. I keep making sure like if there's an attack, I know who's around me. Like I'm starting to like take notes of who around me, or in general, if I'm in a situation where things in general, like, cause sometimes you can't be in control of a situation. And you may be at a place and things in that place were fine. Everything was culture, everything was vibing. But for some reason, people start to make that place get out of pocket. So now that place is no longer a safe environment. So whether it's a person or the place and the people inhabiting in that place, you can see things when they start to get out of pocket. And that means shit is dangerous. Like there's a warning sign, but women don't see that. They cross the gun line and there's no check engine light that pops up for them. There's no stop sign or yield or move more gracefully that pops up for them. And for with men and women, when they're married to these type of women, when their girlfriends or their baby mamas are these type of women, oh my God, it makes life so fucking miserable. So fucking miserable.
If I even look like I'm injuring this guy's girl trying to keep her off of my girl, he then is going to stick a knife in my side.
But that's where you plead to him. See, this is.
But you can't do it during a physical dispute. There's no pleading. It happens like that.
This is where pimping is dying. You go and plead in pimp style to this guy while his girls talk. I always disregard a woman in these situations.
You put it on the guy.
Always.
Sometimes you get a small lady cop. I'm telling you, I'm being honest. You get a small lady cop who talks to me.
They've got a Napoleon complex.
I say, look, miss,
sound like Alex Jones.
You got to understand, I respect the law. But if you arrested me, you should say thank you to me for allowing you to. Because you can't arrest me without my respect for the law in general. So when you come at me with this angry, forceful thing, you got to understand, I'm a person to person. If you wasn't a cop, you wouldn't be talking to me like this. I like cops who can arrest me if they weren't a cop. Like I go, all right, sir, let's talk about it. And usually those guys are nicer people. But when you get a punk who's now got some kind of weird power where they think they are the law as opposed to their
No, that's what I've noticed. If you've got some big giant cop with arms, that are huge, they're really nice. It's always the little guy.
Because it's a bad place to put them in that pop. But maybe, like you said, it's planned.
Okay, you get.
So for a man, it's like, bro, I think the men that probably are for cops that shoot other people that's unarmed are probably men that never had any combat with hand-to-hand combat and shit like that. And so they don't have confidence in themselves to be able to handle their situation. So imagine a woman in that same situation. She probably can't take down an average citizen by herself, so she always needs help. That's going to lead to her being more aggressive mentally because she's trying to play this role that she's really not. And physically, she's going to have to overextend herself. That means using guns and lethal force because she can't do it by herself, especially if she has no help. So a lot of times they get in this situation where when it boils down to it, the best way to protect themselves since they don't have any combat is through gun and lethal force. But if you had some swole dude that know he could take a dude on one by one, he gonna do that. Probably scrap it out more likely than not. And then my biggest thing with people too is like when you get that person that's like just because you at work, they think they could talk to you a certain way, or just because they're a cop, they think they could talk to you a certain way, or just because whatever, like you respecting some type of like. You got a structure, and they know you got a life that you got to think about, right? they think that you won't get out of pocket. So people will use that to cross your line, to cross your border, and thinking, oh, he's not gonna shoot at me because. And when I say I'm being metaphorical when I say shoot at them, like as far as crossing the line, he's not gonna shoot at me because he got this job he got to worry about, or she got this job that she can't lose or afford to lose. The whole time it's like you're a bitch ass person for basically. How you see somebody like throw some food on somebody and run when they go in a restaurant and mad that they order messed up. You gonna throw the food on me and run. Not only you bold enough to throw the shit, but you're not bold enough to face the consequences and getting your ass beat. And that be my problem. You bold enough to talk to me a certain type of way because whatever. There's this for men and women. There's a social line for men versus men. You may be a cop or. I may be at work or some shit like that, so you think you can talk to me a certain type of way, and at the end of the day, leave it be. Trust me, all that shit I forget about, because at the end of the day, you really pissing me off.
Cheers,
and
Chris, what's up?
My best way in my mind right now of going about it is just beating your ass. So yeah, I mean it's infuriating when you deal with those type of women and men, because like I said, they're cowards, bro. They're the most coward people you can face, and I think that's some of the most frustrating shit that you can face or go against. This person that is bold enough to step on your toes, is bold enough to disrespect your space and your feelings, but they're not bold enough to face the consequences. What a bitch ass nigga, bro. But this is a perfect example of when that energy exists in a man versus a woman.
Let's leave that behind. Did you hear what Vinny Shorman said, the hypnotist that I had on the podcast? He was talking about this guy who was 60 years old who was standing on the top of a hill, and he was looking down. He was like, well, why don't you go down? He goes, no, those guys are down there. They used to bully me in high school. He's 60. Wow. And the guys who used to bully him in high school were down. He was waiting for them to leave before he went down.
That's sad.
Whoa.
Like he was looking down.
You know what happened to me? I got bullied for a full year, and it turned me into a fucking, if somebody tried to bully me, I'll show up at your fucking house and kill you. That's what happens. I get so angry.
I'm not buying that even
when he talks
remotely.
like that. I hate when
I'm not buying that remotely. So other men, they check each other, especially when they know the power level. It's like, I see you, Bryan. Like, you would think Joe Rogan's the one talking all macho, but in this room, Joe has all the comfort levels in saying, Bryan, you're full of shit. And that's fine, because Joe Rogan has a lot of shit to stand on to be able to be that confident in saying that. But a lot of times, the problem, like I say, with these people is they won't stand on it. They don't have that confidence to stand on it. When shit turns left, that's when they start acting like Karens and shit and complaining, acting like a victim. And that's some bitch ass shit.
You fucking bully me.
You know what
you
your
try bullying me right now, motherfucker.
You know what your problem is?
Hold on, let me handle this.
Here's your problem. You've talked to too many guys that let you say shit like that.
Just like women.
It becomes like vernacular. It becomes like a part of the way you talk.
This is what I do. Bryan, look at me.
All those people that I know, all those people that when I first met you, all those people you used to hang around with, those are all toxic, and they've ruined the way you're.
If we flipping this to men and women, all those men that you deal with, all the men that let you talk like that, those are simps, sympathizers, weak, soft men. So yeah, you may think that's cool. You got used to it because no one ever checked you.
Allowed to communicate with people because they said stupid shit and then you said stupid shit and it was okay.
If somebody fucks with me, bro, look at how what do you have to say to me?
Bro, I watched a scary movie with him.
Bro, I'm gonna have to shut this podcast off.
Not yet. We have to hold on.
I watched a scary movie with him, and it was the most annoying thing ever.
Tell you what,
he goes,
I would fuck this guy
I fucking wish a demon would grab me, man. You know what I would do? And I'm like,
I get mad.
Why are you talking to me like this?
It's not that you get mad. It's that you hang around with people for a long time. You hung around with people that allowed you to talk like that.
And he thinks that's the appropriate reaction to have as a man is to get angry every time, and that's me showing I'm a man. Those type of men get their ass whooped because he don't know how to move gracefully. You don't know how to move. Like, it's not saying you move like a bitch. It's not saying that you move soft and you don't stand up for yourself. There's a certain level. There's just certain levels to it, man. And I think a lot of times people like either I'm a bitch or I'm fighting every fight. It's like, bro, no, there's room to be humble. There's room to move gracefully. You don't have to get everything. You don't have to make everything a fight. Some things you could just take note of and be like, okay, let me move better in that situation, because sometimes it ain't worth the fight. The person that you got to fight with may have more power than you, or it may be a sensei or a master in the sense of don't upset your sensei or master. And talk about the 48 laws of power. So just in that, moving gracefully in the sense of like, I got to respect the structures and things that was here before me. I got to respect the ancestors that gained and earned respect that was for me, especially in the space that you're trying to exist in, right? Because there will always be people that was before you. So and things that traditions that were healthy traditions that was before you. And What made me say that? A lot of times I just know men don't understand the nuance to life. They think it's one way or another. But in life, you just have to move gracefully. You can't, just because something upsets you, the first thing you need to do is like, I want to fight. That's emotional behavior. So if this man thinking he's like, I'm a man, I'm a macho man, you're an emotional bitch. There's a million other ways to solve a problem, but for some reason, you think fighting and being like nasty with your words is the best way to solve your problems. That's the bitchiest way to solve your problems. As a man, there's more graceful and diplomatic ways to solve your problems. But for someone like Bryan Callen, they think being a man means boasting their chest and acting like a fucking animal. In a sense. And in their own way about it, they're just being emotional men. So, and all they know is anger, or at least this fake ass anger, which is like I said, it's dumb. Because you can't possibly think you can act like that to even if he tried that out right now, say he tried the shit that he think is cool right now, I'm gonna be the most aggressive male in the room when I'm challenged. He will get his ass, he'll be at least, he might win against that skinny dude that was in the room that I seen wasn't quiet, but he was quiet, so he might beat his ass anyways. And he damn sure not beating Joe Rogan ass or Brandon Schaub ass. So even in this room, if he tried that tough guy shit, it wouldn't work. Like when I talk about being the biggest, baddest dude on the block, it wouldn't even work in this room when he's in. So try to exponentially extract that to see how it would be in the real world. Nigga, you don't even have to do that because you already outnumbered. You'll get your ass 2 times out of, more likely than not 2 times to 1 if you was to play the tough guy role. And that's most likely. You're more likely to get your ass whooped than to beat everybody's ass in the world. So, yeah, man, I hope that people got an understanding from this as far as like being more respectful and graceful and not thinking that you're cooning or being stepped on just because you chose not to fight every fight. You chose not to be a rebel in every situation. It's like, all right, bro. You're being hella annoying just because you think you're right all the time. And it's like, bro, that's not the fight to fight. And if you are right all the time, why do you have to tell me? Just live your life then. Everything, you don't have to bring your rightness over here and get me to believe you're right and shit like that, because then I get annoying. I'm gonna leave it here. Let me see if I can find it first.
I'll never get used to that. Like, to me, I always go by the ocean, and to me the ocean is east, but it's actually west. All right.
It's actually south in LA. If you're at Venice, you're looking south.
Oh, Andrew. Oh, Andrew. Someday you're gonna make somebody a happy spouse.
It's actually south if you look at a map and see the trajectory of the longitude and latitude.
Thank you, Andrew Themelis.
The dude was like, the beach is actually south of here. He was like, you know what? You make a great spouse. Being funny, because it's just that energy of always trying to be right. That's not moving gracefully, bro. Like, it's just not. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, bro. But it is what it is, man. We out of here. Hopefully some of y'all got some schooling. Hopefully some of y'all got some good lessons out of this. But if not, man, stay tuned for some more because I'm always bringing the heat and the truth. We out.